A fetus may be a human being, but it's not a person. We kind of ended last time on this one, and this is the high topic.
It's a person.
What? Yeah. What is a person?
What's?
They already put something there that they're a human being.
Fetus are human being. They already put that on the table.
Put something on the table.
So what is a person?
I might not even go there to start with. I might start with the human being again.
Yeah,
So
human being.
So if they're a human being,
is it okay to kill another human being?
Yeah.
I think we're talking about abortion. Obviously, that's what this is about. I might want them to identify their moral standard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They might not, but you can come back and say, to me, if they say something you don't agree, you do the alternative type questions. Like, well, I might not say it that way. I don't know that I agree. I would say something more like killing another human being is wrong. Period. And then come back and it's like, well, is there a difference between a human being and a person? Yeah, I don't know.
Because I literally don't understand.
I don't know the difference. Can you enlighten
I really
me?
don't understand even the statement that it's not a person in a house. So what's the difference really? I want to know where they're coming from.
Is a human being not a person?
Yeah. Well, this is an argument that I've heard, but I've heard they can't fill it out because it's like, okay, so it's not a person because they can't take care of themselves. It's like, well, there are a lot of people that are
old people that
considered,
can take care of themselves.
well, old people,
Then you just kill them?
injured people, people under anesthesia.
Sleeping, somebody.
Well, you have handicapped people that can't take care of themselves.
The babies.
So they
Babies?
a newborn baby, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No,
So
that,
are they not persons?
I would even go to the newborn babies. A 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, but
Do you think they can
but
take care of themselves?
the point is taking care of themselves. If that's the criteria, that opens up a category I don't think they want to go down.
Yeah, they don't.
So they're probably going to go someplace else, and it's like, well,
yeah.
maybe they'll say they're not conscious. They're not conscious yet.
Are sleeping people?
Sleeping people that are under anesthesia. And what makes you think they're not conscious?
Yeah. What makes you think that they're not conscious?
Yep. Yeah, we can measure brain activity of babies in the womb.
Yeah.
And we can give them stimuli and they move
And
away from stimuli. That's consciousness. So what is the point at which they become a person is you'd want them to clarify. And then you work on whatever that point is.
Seventh-day Adventists has a different.
Plus breathing, right?
Seventh-day Adventists think that if you haven't taken your first breath, you're not a person. You're not a person. You're not a human being.
Well, they
do abortions because that child, that baby inside the womb, has not taken their first breath, so they're not a living soul.
Yeah. So the soul enters the body with the first breath is the concept.
That's their concept.
Which I don't know where that's based on.
Well, that's the only one.
I understand.
But they take oxygen by mouths too. Yeah, it's
No, but your own breath. Your own breath. Because your breath comes from God, and then when you die, your breath goes back to God. That's their concept.
They're using the breath of life analogy, and
But the funny thing is, I used that to one of my coworker that's Seventh-day Adventist because she made a comment like, I can't believe these people are aborting babies. It's like, do you know that Seventh-day Adventists abort babies? She didn't know. I said they haven't taken their first breath. That's why Luma Linda is like doing abortions, lots of abortions.
yeah, a lot of them.
A baby, a spirit in the womb, often said to the autistic spirit.
Yeah, that's
Still
true.
the
That's true.
That's true.
That's a great
biblical.
story, actually. That I like that.
Yeah, like it says like there's already like the spirit, like yeah. They do. But,
Well, even the story of Esau and Jacob.
Oh yeah.
They
You know,
wrestle.
they're wrestling in the womb
Yeah.
already. They have awareness. They have personhood because they're uniquely person.
Anyways,
So,
But that's Seventh-day Adventist.
yeah.
I think these
Side
days
topic.
that we're gonna run into more, it's a woman's right.
Yeah.
That's the next one that they would pull.
That's,
Well, that's a pretty common one that,
Yeah,
oh,
you shouldn't
tell people what to do with their own body.
that's
Their
what
own
they're
body.
saying.
But,
That's what they say.
but we killed that one during COVID.
Well, that's true.
You know, when they started forcing you to have immunizations or wear a mask or not go out, they're telling you what you can do with your body. And so, and they're medically telling you what you can do with your body.
Follow all the directions of COVID, I guess you could ask them that.
Yeah.
But well, and it's even beyond that. We let the government decide what's illegal and what's legal. Cocaine's illegal in America, so they're telling you what you can do with your body.
That's true.
I mean, there are many things that tell you what you can do with
They
your
do,
body.
and that's
If I
what-
work for,
You
Well,
can't drive when you're drunk.
I
How's
can't
that?
drive when I'm drunk. I shouldn't. and
No, but they're gonna put you in jail.
yep. Well, another
They
one.
got you.
I needed to go to Nigeria a few years ago. I had to get like 29 immunizations before I
No
could go.
choice.
I had no choice, okay? And, you know,
wanna go,
if I
you take it.
want that, then I have to do what they tell me. They're telling me what I can do with my body. And so I think that argument is it's a false claim
Yes.
because they haven't thought it through. Because if that was true, then we would not have any health controls of any sort. And we require immunizations. That's telling you what you can do with your body. That's so. Let's see what he said in this question. So they're claiming there is a moral relevant difference between unborn child and a toddler that justifies killing one over the other. So you really got to push that. There's a difference. They must defend, not just assert. So again, they make an assertion, make them prove their assertion, or at least define it clearly. And if they offer a list of qualities for personhood, ask where they get that list from. What if someone else's list has a certain skin color as a requirement for personhood? Then what would happen? Because that did happen in many countries. Okay, and we all agree that's wrong.
Even the gender part.
Even gender. Yeah,
There's-
women used to be considered property, not person.
No, how about this? Women gets like, if it's a baby girl, no. Abort. Or leave them out
Let them out. Yeah, let
This-
them out to die.
to die.
So I think his last question is probably the best of it. It's who gets to make the list that decides which humans are protected as persons and which are not.
That's true.
But I mean, the people that want equal rights for all are the ones that usually scream for abortion, yet they're violating
They're
their
saying
own
that
tenets.
you're imposing you're limiting my rights on my body, but actually you're
Well, everybody has they're following some list of qualifications that give them the right to do whatever they're doing. Yeah.
which violate the right of others.
There's one more question, I think. The problem of evil, obviously.
Problem evil.
How can God exist when there's so much evil in the world? Let's just read what he had to
What
say.
makes evil?
Well,
Define evil. What
that's
do you mean by
a
evil?
good place to start. Well, we kind of did that when we did our class because we lump everything that we perceive as bad as evil.
No,
And-
generally evil is like what's bad for me.
Yeah, it's very selfish. It's very selfish. Because what's evil for you might not be evil for the other person,
That's
right?
true.
Generally, like I said, if you ask somebody to define it, it's usually what's bad for me.
That's true.
Well, that's really what they mean. They may not be what they say, but all right. So you can ask, but if there is no God, then how
Can there be
can
no-
we call anything evil in the first place? That's the basis or standard for the assertion, which they don't have any. I've only heard one good argument, and it wasn't that good. The existence of evil assumes an objective standard, a scoring system of some sorts, that must be in place to distinguish whether there's something good or something bad, good from evil. But there is no way to account for the standard of objective good, the moral rules that are violated by people who commit the evil that we're talking about, without the existence of a moral rule maker, i.e., God. How do we make sense of the difference between good and evil if there is no God? That's a question that is valid to ask. Now, like I said, the only argument I've ever heard that really had a chance was Sam Harris's human flourishing argument, where, we choose good and bad based on what's best for the community. But
It's not true.
But it doesn't work, and we have plenty of examples in history that didn't work that way.
Some people do that. But the majority of people, I would grant him that. There are some people that would
Prioritize the greater good.
the greater good. Like the old, remember the people in the past, American past. I mean,
They would
these
sacrifice.
are rich people that sacrifice to do the good.
Agreed.
Okay, there's people that would do that, and not necessarily like fearing God. But the problem is majority don't. Majority is what's good for me. That's
That's
I
the
don't care
natural
what's
MO.
good for you, but what's good for me.
Well, and not to insult the founding fathers or anything, but each one of their visions of right and wrong would not necessarily have been what I would have wanted, unless it's in line with what God wants.
Yeah.
Right? The God standard is the reason what they did made sense. I often use Mother Teresa. I mean, I'm sure she's an amazing lady, but she believed in equity. Okay, I don't believe in that, because I believe everybody's made different, and God has given you things to steward for a purpose. If I redistribute it, there's certain people that can't handle it. They're going to end up exactly where they started. And when do you stop? So her concept I wouldn't accept. So I don't think any human, no matter how wonderful they are, and as far as I know, she was a wonderful human, would actually define it properly. It wouldn't give a standard that's workable, because humans always do it from their own perspective, and we don't have a broad enough perspective. When I take my model and move it to a different place with a different group of people with different cultural norms, it won't work. It's only God's standard that can move from culture to culture and still
It
work,
still work, yeah.
because his
He
Well,
knows.
yeah, example, like child labor. Okay, in other country, that's fine.
Yeah.
Over here, you're abusing
can-
your child. It's fine in other country.
Yeah, you have
And
two
there's
hands
nothing
that
wrong
can
with
work
that
and
over
move.
there.
And
Over
you
there.
make money.
Well, and more
using
importantly,
those
the
hands.
children
It
want
is.
to work in these countries, because it's the only way you can.
You send them,
You work or die, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's.
no, like young kids would get sent to be a maid.
It's better than the alternative.
Well, yeah, better than not eating.
Yeah. But our sensibilities and our culture is like so aghast by that, but they
No,
get to,
it's
they get to
totally
eat
okay.
and they live in a better place. It's actually better for
Yeah.
them.
And then they have extra money to send to their parents.
And there's no social safety net. We've gotten so used to our social safety net in the Western cultures, we forget that most of the world doesn't have such things. And
Majority.
yeah, the vast
Majority.
majority of the world doesn't have such things. And in fact, wouldn't work. Doesn't work here either, but it wouldn't work because people tend to exploit a system. And it unfortunately often reduces the incentive to make your life better.
Okay, like when I work overseas, it's like our benefits is not the same as the benefits of the people
local.
there. And it's fine. We accepted that terms.
Well, because in that culture, that's what it is.
You're a
They
second-class
really are
citizen.
second-class
You're a
citizens.
second-class citizen. You came there on your own volition, then you're a second-class citizen. It's
It
fine.
is what it is.
But I
If
think,
there's nothing is being violated, you know?
yeah,
You
the
agree
point
to the
is,
terms.
what is right and wrong within those cultures is different. And our version is not better than theirs unless our standard is what God's standard would be. Because God's standard is the only one that actually goes cross-cultural and
cross-cultural.
works. I couldn't take the standard out of Singapore and Malaysia and put it in America. It would not work. It just wouldn't work.
It's probably better.
It might work better. I'm not
It's probably better.
I'm not
They
gonna
don't
go
have no
there.
social problem like we do.
What if they say like killing, war, earthquake,
Natural evil.
human
Trafficking. Well, you're kind of gone all over the place. Earthquake is natural.
Natural.
And if you're a naturalist, you can't call it evil because it's just
It's
the
just-
world
Just the way it
doing
is.
what it does. So don't blame God. And if you're a God-fearer, you have to recognize that that's
Keep us
just
a-
how the world works.
Give us a pretty harsh answer to that one.
It's like, you know that that place is prone to earthquake and you live there. So
Why are you
expect-
surprised?
Why are you surprised that there's earthquake?
I mean, I
Like
live
in
in
Florida.
I live in Texas. Every 5 years we get a significant hurricane, and I act like I'm surprised. And I know it. If I didn't want to be where the hurricane was, maybe
Then
I
don't
should go
live there.
someplace else.
And blame God.
Well, you live in the upper Midwest in Nebraska, they have tornadoes. If I don't like tornadoes, then maybe don't live there. You know, I mean, pick whatever it is. It's not like we don't know these natural disasters happen. Areas are prone to flooding. Well, yeah, they're prone to flooding. And I put my house there and I act like I'm shocked when it
Shocked when it
floods.
floods.
And I'm not saying these natural things are bad. I feel sorry for the people that are caught up in it. But it's not evil because we're very aware that they happen. And we actually choose to put ourselves in
You took the
that
risk.
situation. We're putting ourselves at risk. So it's not evil. We're aware. It's not like, I mean, a meteor falling from the sky, that's one I might not predict. But everything
still
else,
possible.
we're fairly predictable. When it comes down to free will, then it's the free will of the person. And yeah, things like human trafficking I find repulsive. But the people that are choosing to do it are what is repulsive. And do I understand? No.
No, but the
But-
thing though, if there's no God, if there's a real God, why do you think it's evil? It's just okay to doubt. There's no standard. So what makes if the strong eating the weak? That's the natural.
Survival of the
natural,
fittest.
Effect. It's like, you know, you're weak. I'll take advantage of you. I don't care of you.
The only
Because
reason-
the only thing is I'm strong. I'm gonna eat you.
Well, the only reason we get out of better shape of that is because we have the standard of God that says all men are equal.
Yeah.
It has value in God's eyes.
Well, I think it's also a good opportunity to point out the difference between world religions if you get into this conversation. It's like, show me the world religion that values the individual
The individual.
universally. There's only one. I mean, even Judaism, although they were told to do so,
They didn't
did
do it.
not. The application of Judaism doesn't value anybody outside of the
They
club.
still have the members of the club and those that are not.
Well, that's just how they applied. That's what it ends up. That's the reason they failed. But
Compared to
Islam doesn't value
Christianity-
anybody that's not a member of the club.
in Christianity, we're called even those that we don't like.
We're
Love
told
those that we
to
don't like.
go further. We're told to pray to God to bless
How
people
about
we
bless
don't
those
like.
that persecute you?
So that's a true difference in religions that comes out in the problem of evil, because no religion would call the things that you're calling evil evil if it happened to somebody outside of their group. They wouldn't care.
Yeah.
It's really only Christianity that can look across the ocean to a
And
group
say that's
that's
evil.
completely different than us and say that's terrible what happened to them. I would not call it evil, but it's terrible. I can say it's terrible. I feel for them. I have empathy for their circumstance.
If they get all killed, that's evil.
Well, the person that did it is evil.
Is evil.
Yeah.
But
That action is evil.
the action is evil.
Like what Hitler did is evil.
Yes. Yeah, the actions of humans can be evil, where the actions of the universe is just natural, right? Let me see how we're doing on time. Maybe I better skip.
3 o'clock.
And the
2:55.
funny thing
We
about
did
those
6
evil-
questions in an
No,
hour?
and the funny thing about the question about like those natural disasters and stuff like that, if you don't believe that there's God, then why are you trying to ask God to, if He's God, if He's good God, He should stop those?
Well,
It's like, you said there's no God, and then you're blaming Him for the disasters, and if He's good, He should stop that.
well, like most people, including Christians, we often try to define God in our terms instead of the way God defines God. We can't understand God, but yeah, I don't believe in the God that you're describing. I probably wouldn't like either. That's not the God that I worship. You don't get to define what God chooses to do because He's God, right? He made everything. He actually gets to choose how it works. I don't have to completely understand, but I can't blame someone if I don't believe in Him. So by blaming Him, you're actually acknowledging that
He exists.
you're just saying you don't like Him.
Yeah.
Okay, noted.
But
But last time I checked, if He's really God,
He
it
doesn't
doesn't
care
matter
about
if you
your
like Him or
opinion.
not. I wanted to read this narrative. It's on page 62 of the book that kind of goes along with what's going on. This was a teacher and a student narrative, and it says, "Teacher, okay, let's start today's lesson with a quick review. Yesterday I talked about homology, how different organisms show remarkable similarity in their structure of some of their body parts. Homologous features such as vertebrate limbs shown in your textbook, which they show all the little bones are similar, right? Provide us with some of our best evidence that living things have evolved from common ancestors." Student raises his hand. "I know you went over this yesterday, but I'm still confused. How do we know whether features are homologous?" Which is homologous, sorry. Teacher, well, if you look at vertebrate limbs, you can see that even though they're adapted to perform different functions, their bone patterns are structurally similar. Student, but you told us yesterday that even though an octopus eye is structurally similar to the human eye, the two are not homologous. Homologous. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. So the student's homologous. So he's said one thing and now he's saying the different. And the teacher says that's correct. Octopus eyes and human eyes are not homologous because their common ancestor did not have an eye.
Oh my gosh,
Student.
it's crazy.
So regardless of similarity, features are not homologous unless they are inherited from a common ancestor. Teacher, yes. Now you're catching on. Student, well, actually, I'm still confused. I know I'm still confused. You say homologous features provide some of our best evidence for common ancestry, but before we can tell whether feature is homologous, we have to know whether they came from a common ancestor. How do you know that? Teacher says, that's right. And the student says, I must be missing something. It sounds like you're saying that we know features are derived from a common ancestor because we've derived them from a common ancestor. Isn't that circular reasoning? And it is, right?
It is.
Yeah.
I always
chicken
like
and the egg.
the chicken and the egg.
Yeah, we read that.
Well, because they believe it, so therefore it is, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes the best way to disagree with someone is not to face the issue head on, but to use an indirect approach, offer alternatives, and invite principled response. Good luck with that. But he has some kind of form questions that we can try to reformulate. So you've heard something you don't really agree with, to say, well, let me suggest an alternative and tell me if it isn't an improvement. Then you can tell me why you think your alternative is better. I don't know if I do the improvement part, but yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I've heard what you had to say, but I think I'd use that evidence and come to a different conclusion. What's wrong with what I'm thinking, right?
No, but the way he's saying it is very neutral. It's not aggressive. The way if you say it that way,
Yep.
you're not attacking them, you're not belittling them, you're not, that's like, even if you're suggesting something.
But it gives you an opportunity to share
Well, tell me.
your alternative.
Yeah.
And
Tell
then,
me if
and
you
then we
think-
can get into what matches the evidence best.
Improvement or yours is still better.
Yep.
So,
Second one, yeah, I wouldn't characterize it that way. Here's what I think may be a better or more accurate way of looking at it. A little more aggressive.
a little more aggressive.
I like this one. This is probably more me. I wouldn't characterize it that way. I actually think I've used that a few times. Number 3 is, have you thought about or considered another alternative?
That's easier to say.
That's a
That's
neutral.
easier to say.
I actually like
That's
that
way
one.
neutral.
I like the first one, but
The
I
third
wouldn't
one.
be able to say it.
No, but I actually think the third one is better.
very
It's like,
neutral
have you ever
and
thought of any other potential answer,
Yeah.
right? Because if they haven't, then, well, can I share an alternative that I know of?
I like the word consider, I've used that with people. Have you considered that? And it's still very respectful, and they seem to.
Well,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, Connie, because you're giving some credit to their
Yeah, their
opinion,
thoughts, yes.
and they want, and you're
Completely.
asking them to give the same credit back to you,
Yeah.
so we can be on even ground for the conversation. Next is, I don't think that's going to work, and here's why. Oof, probably that might be poking it, but there's a time for that.
There's a time for that, and there's personalities that actually works better.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm talking within the family, I'm going there, right? Because that's how we
And for
go.
us, oh yeah.
That's how we go.
that works.
The soft approaches won't work for the
They're
Filipinos.
saying, I don't think that's gonna work. You're not.
Here's why. But the way you say it, like, here's why. It's kind of like you're not.
No, you're not.
I have a reason why I don't think it works.
Well, it's better than what you normally do with me. Is I don't
I
believe
don't
you.
believe you.
Like what?
Why? So it's
You haven't
just,
given
I
me a
don't believe you,
reason.
Period.
I'm not sure I agree with the way you put that. What about this? I actually love that. I don't think I'd ever use it,
I like
but I like it because it's like, no, I don't think I agree with you, and let me put it a different way and see if we can agree.
No, but you're not like putting it like you're stupid, you know? You're
No,
like,
I like it.
I'm not sure it's a good phraseology to say.
Well, I think that look through his
Like this, I don't agree with you.
the first one is, let me suggest, very soft. The second one is, here's what I think.
It's the softer that
Soft.
I don't. It's the softer one that I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah, no,
The
but
second one.
this is what I think. Have you considered? Here's why I don't agree with you. These are not aggressive. I'm not sure that I agree with you. Can I put it a different way? And actually, we do this in regular business conversations, or someone will say something to you and you're like, well, I don't know that I completely agree with it. Can I put it a different way? And then we can massage it back and forth a little bit till we're using language we both agree. So why not in normal conversations don't we do it that way?
Yeah.
I mean, because we should not be scared, because truth is truth, right? We're not scared of other people's opinions. So this approach shows respect to the person you disagree with, and once you understand their viewpoint, you can ask, do you mind if I ask a couple of questions about what you've told me? You know, what did you mean by that? How did you come to that conclusion? And would you consider an alternative? Are you open? You know, are you receptive? Because if they're not reasonable, you're...
Looking at another angle.
Yep. I mean, are you going to be reasonable is really what he's talking about. And yeah, you open up the opportunity where you're agreeing to disagree, and that what are you waiting? And you want to keep yourself in the driver's part. So remember, the person who asks the question controls the conversation, and that's really the key part of what we've been learning.